Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today we're doing something a little bit different, something that I think might be a little bit of fun. I'm going to be talking about 10 bands that went out on a high note. Essentially 10 bands that ended their career with a really solid album. Not necessarily their best album in their discography, but just what I consider to be 10 very solid ways to end their career. So I will say, to make this list, the band has to, for sure be either split up or retired, etc. There's no chance of them releasing more music. These are not bands that I'm considering, that are still active and that might release another album. No, these are bands that are kaput, they are no more, and no more albums coming, and just looking at the last album to close off their career, which bands did it right and ended their career with a shining moment. I'll say the band has to have at least 2 albums to make this list. Obviously, if a band only put out 1, I guess that could be considered a debut album and a closing album. But to me, I'm looking for a band that has at least 2 albums, so there's a clear beginning of their career and end of their career. I'm sure with this list of just 10, there's going to be some that I'm just not thinking of, that this was just something I put together off the top of my head, so I'm sure I'm just not thinking of some, but I'd love you to play along at home. Give me your list down below of your favorite, career-ending albums, or if you have a channel out there, give me a response video, because I always like seeing stuff like that too. So anyways, without further ado, let's just get into this. Let's see which bands I consider went out on a high note. So, in 10th place here, I'm going with Woods of Ypres. So their final album in their career was Woods 5, Gray Skies, and Electric Light. Of course, the band had to call it quits after band leader David Gold tragically passed away in a traffic accident. But yeah, this is a perfect way to end the band's discography. They had started drifting away from black metal more towards straight ahead doom metal, doom rock. And this album just perfectly captures the depressive state of mind that David Gold must have been in at this point in his life. This is such a somber album, but it's so well done. Favorite tracks would be Finality, Alternate Ending. It's such a heavy album emotionally, but yeah, really great way to end their career. That's why I'm putting it on this list. Up next, I'm going to go with Grim Reaper and their album Rock You to Hell. So Grim Reaper only put out 3 albums before calling it quits. Technically, Steve Grimmett, the vocalist, did resurrect the band somewhat, but calling it Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper, which is active, but it's not the original band. It's just him with new band members. So I'm not considering that the same band. The original Grim Reaper just released 3 albums, and they ended their career with Rock You to Hell. I think that is actually their best album. Not a knock on their other 2 albums, but what a way to end their career. Just went out with a bang. You got songs like the title track, Rock You to Hell, then When Heaven Comes Down. Steve Grimmett's soaring vocals, just absolutely amazing. The songwriting was up a level compared to the first 2 albums, in my opinion. It got a little catchier, got a little, just more well-written. All in all, really solid way to end their brief career. Up next, I'm going with Aglock and their final album, The Serpent and the Sphere. So unfortunately, Aglock only did put out 5 full lengths. This, in my opinion, is actually their weakest out of their 5, but that being said, the weakest Aglock is still better than a lot of bands' best albums, and The Serpent and the Sphere is no exception. Even though I might like all their other output more than this is still a really solid way to end their discography. Just absolutely amazing riffs on here. Got the typical Aglock atmospheres going on. Great songs like Dark Matter Gods, the Astral Dialogue. Just solid stuff through and through. Easy addition to this list. Up next, I'm going with Absu and their final album, Abzu. So arguably, Prescriptor McGovern, now formed Prescriptor McGovern's Absu, but it is a separate band. It is continuing on the legacy of Absu, but the band Absu is put to bed. There's no more, so that's why I'm putting them on this list. And their last album absolutely kicks ass. You got a song like Earth Ripper, where he's hitting the falsettos with great black metal rasps, and the drumming is insane. Skyring in the Spirit Vision is another great one. Just all in all, this album fucking kills. Absu's entire discography is flawless in my opinion, and this album is no exception. Easy addition to this list. They definitely went out on a high note. Unfortunately, the band did call it quits, but yeah, good way to end it nonetheless. Up next, I'm going with Altars of Grief and their album Iris. So this was a short-lived band. They did only put out 2 full lengths and like an EP and some singles and stuff here and there. But yeah, unfortunately they called it quits for reasons unknown to me. But yeah, if this is truly their last album, which is what it seems like, what a masterpiece to go out on. The debut was like pretty decent, but completely next level here by this second and final album. It's just blackened, doomy excellence. So dreary. It's going to bring you down, but also lift you up too. These songs are just absolutely amazing. So well composed, like songs like Isolation, Child of Light. I honestly can't recommend this album enough. I feel like it doesn't get enough love, so I'll talk about it whenever I can, and I felt like it deserved to be on this list. Okay, now into my top 5. Not that this order really matters. This is just 10 albums, so yeah, don't pay too much attention to the ranking. But anyways, I'm just used to counting stuff down off my paper. So yeah, up next, 5 more to go, put it that way. Up next, I'm going with Lost Horizon. This is another band that only put out 2 albums, power metal masterpieces, both of them, and their second and what would be final album, A Flame to the Ground Beneath. Oh, absolutely amazing stuff here. Daniel Hyman's vocals are next level, so absolutely amazing. Go listen to a song like Highlander, The One, and wow, you will blow your socks off with those high-pitched vocals. Another song, Pure, absolutely amazing. Just front to back, this album kicks ass. One of the best power metal albums out there. If you haven't heard these guys, go check them out. But yeah, another easy addition to this list because their closing album kicks ass. Up next, I'm going with Heavy Load and their final album, Stronger Than Evil, which came out all the way back in 1983. So this one was a tough one for me because technically Heavy Load is still active. They had broken up for a very long time. They have got back together and they are touring again. But it doesn't seem like they're putting out any new material. Obviously, no album since 1983. I'd be shocked and very happy if they did release another album. But I think it's a safe bet for me to still put them on this list. So if that changes in the future, well, then I'd have to bump them from this list. But whatever. Getting off track. Their last album came out in 1983 titled Stronger Than Evil. And wow, absolute masterpiece of traditional heavy metal. Sweden's finest. Just classic in the genre. They released 3 albums in total, plus the EP. My favorite is probably Death or Glory, but Stronger Than Evil is right there. You got songs like the title track, Singing Swords, just catchy-ass hooks in these songs. The choruses are going to stick in your head all day. Absolutely amazing stuff. That's why I made this list. Okay, 3 more to go. Up next, I'm going with Death and their final album, The Sound of Perseverance. So, of course, Death had pretty much one of the most flawless discographies of all time. Started out straight ahead death metal. By this time, the end of their career, this was complete like progressive death metal. Doesn't really sound anything like their early albums, but the musicianship on here is absolutely amazing. I love this era of the band too. I love every album by Death, but yeah, Sound of Perseverance, great way to end the career for sure. I know he went on to Control Denied and then unfortunately passed away. But yeah, with this being the last Death album, this just added to the legacy of perfection in a discography. You got songs like Spirit Crusher, Flesh and the Power It Holds, Voice of the Soul is a beautiful instrumental. All in all, absolute masterpiece. Easy addition to this list. Up next, I'm going with Windeer and their final album, Lickford. So Windeer, another band with a completely flawless discography. Only 4 albums before Balfour tragically passed away. But yeah, Lickford, the closing album in the career, absolutely amazing, as with every album in their career. But yeah, songs like On the Mountain of Goats, Fagning, Despot, just absolutely amazing folky black metal. I love this band to death, one of my favorite bands of all time, and this album definitely ended their career on a high note. So that just leaves one more band to talk about, and that is Bathory. Oh, of course, Bathory. Their final albums were going to be a 4-album sequence, the Nordland Saga. Quorthon died tragically after only releasing Nordland 1 and 2. But yeah, I'll cheat here and include both Nordland 1 and 2. Even though they're separate albums, they came out a year apart. It's kind of all tied together as his closing chapter, the Nordland Saga. So yeah, I'm putting 2 albums here, whatever. You can just count one of them if you want. I don't care. I'm cheating. Doesn't matter. Bathory deserves to be here regardless. So on Nordland 1, you've got songs like Ring of Gold, beautiful acoustic number, and then like Dragon's Breath. And then on Nordland 2, you've got awesome songs like Vinland and The Wheel of Sun. This is just pure Viking metal, folk metal, whatever you want to call it. There's not really any black metal to be found here anymore in Bathory Sound compared to their early days. This is just pure Viking glorious metal, and I absolutely love it. And that is why they made this list. So anyways, this is just to have a little bit of fun, a different idea to play around with. So give me yours down below. What are your 10 bands that went out on a high note? And like I said, if you have a channel, feel free to give me a response video. I love to see that kind of stuff too. So anyways, yeah, until next time, go give me a like, give me a subscribe. Hammer Heart Metal Reviews, out.